How does it feel? How do you feel looking at those numbers? Should you think of this as your, if you would, your financial report card? Okay, and you got an F, or maybe give yourself a grade right now. Those report cards when you were a kid, they mean nothing compared to this. This is way more important than what grade you got in the 5th grade. When you see these numbers, you proud of them? You impressed by them? Is it equal to who you are? Maybe you're killing it right now. Maybe you're just, oh, I'm out there just killing it, crushing it. But if you know you can do better, and that's what people at the top, they're like, oh, well, I had the best year ever, but I know I could do better. That's what you should be thinking right now. Tell you what, if you're like most people, you might not be excited about what you're seeing. I know I wasn't when I was 25 and 29 and 35 and 45. Don't just look at the amounts though. See the pattern. Look at the pattern here. Are you getting major growth? Are you going like wham? You stuck. How do you feel about being stuck? Because your finances are an indication of whether you're learning new things and doing new things. You should be having spikes at some point in your career. Because if you don't have a spike, it's just going to be flat for a long period of time. Here's the thing. I'm going to teach you here in just a few minutes about how to make more money. But none of that matters unless you're committed, and you know that. You got to have that moment when you decide enough is enough, and I'm willing to put everything I have right now at risk to get to the next place. And you got to feel the pain a little bit. You got to feel the pain without the blame. I'm not going to blame anybody else. I'm going to accept full responsibility, I was talking about earlier, of this situation. Seriously, you got to feel the consequences. You almost have to look in the mirror and talk and like say, I am disgusted with my situation, my lack of decisions. And recognize that your decisions and your thinking is what's got you where you are right now. That's kind of good, by the way. You're responsible. You did this. I'll tell you when my moment was. Okay, I was 25 years old. I was selling cars. I did not like my job. I was working hard every day. I was struggling. And not only did my sales suck, I was using drugs between the age of 15 and 25. I was completely lost on what I was doing. Every day. I had zero self-respect for myself, and no one respected me outside of myself. Maybe it was because I was still grieving for my dad that had died 15 years earlier, or my brother that had died 5 years before that, or I was just literally like a zombie. Through each day. And I remember this like it was yesterday. I was at work. I had a customer who was interested in buying a car, this older gentleman. Forget his name now. He was a good, clean, successful guy that had some order. At least he represented some kind of like stability in his life. We had this great conversation. He was interested in We were taking a test drive in the car. And I had to sneak away. I remember having to sneak away in the middle of the conversation to go get drugs. Literally couldn't go hour and a half. And I come back to the office, and I remember the guy looking at me, and he just says, dude, what are you doing? All whacked out of my head. I'm looking at this guy, and I just knew he knew. I mean, he could see through me. I made I don't know, but I had that moment to change. And I could see he was disappointed, or so I thought. He was disappointed in me. He just shook his head. He says, what are you doing? It hit me. It hit me. It kept hitting me after he left. It kept hitting me that night, the next day, the next week. What are you doing? I've been asking myself that for years. So, like it's hitting you, okay? He knew, this guy knew from talking to me that I had more potential. He saw more in me. Just like I did, just probably like you did. And I was wasting my potential. I could see it in his eyes. I could see, there was a reflection. For me, it was that reminder, it was that moment. You gotta have your moment, okay, where it's like, okay, I gotta do something. This guy's a stranger, he didn't know me. I made a decision, that moment, I gotta change. Immediately checked myself into a rehab. I got myself cleaned up. It was that one thing, on top of a whole bunch of other disappointments. And I started focusing more on my relationship with me. First, I got to get off the drugs. Now I got to start building a relationship with me, and then my mom, and then my family. Started focusing on myself, working on making myself better. But you know what? There was a whole bunch of liabilities that I owed. I'd done a lot of damage. So I had to get money to start paying people back for all the people I had